Today I'm going to introduce React to see just get a basic concept about what is React. This figure comes from their official website. It gives a clear definition of what React is. React is a JavaScript library for building the user interfaces. Besides, React is a useful tool for single-page application, which is very different from what we learned in web development class at SAIT. The way we learned is a multi-page application. It is a traditional architecture. As you can tell in the left figure showed, traditionally, when clients or users browse a website, they would initiate a request to server, and the server will send back HTML, JavaScript, and CSS files to clients or users for browser to render the website. If there are some data needed from web server, the web server would get data from backend database and send them this data with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files to the front end. On the other hand, when browsing a website based on SPA, single-page application, clients and users would get HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files in their initial request. Then everything they needed is the data either retrieved from database directly or retrieved from backend database or retrieved from a backend server. Sorry. A typical example for MPA is Amazon, and typical example for SPA is Airbnb. As you can see, this is Airbnb. This is Amazon. We can see obviously latency before request. This is Airbnb. As you can see, Airbnb goes more smoothly. And for Amazon, every page is a new request. If we use mobile devices to browse, differences between them will be more obvious. One thing you can tell if it is a MPA or SPA is that as Amazon, every section, every link is a new request. And you can see this spinning icon here, showing it requires the whole HTML from server. But in Airbnb, you switch from different pages. There's nothing here, but only when you get a new tab, you will get something here spinning. That's the third differences. As mentioned earlier, for multi-page application, every link is a new request, and every request will relate to acquiring the whole HTML, CSS, JavaScript files from server, even there are many components that are same as other pages. On the other side, single page application, an initial request will acquire all the UI components from server. And different pages are simply just different combinations of these UI components. And some components may only appear in some pages, and simple application, web application, single page application will only change the state of a certain UI component and to change its performance, to change its appearance. but single-page application still needs to acquire data from server. This data are simply objects and the information that this application needs to display to the users. There is no more HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, only data. The data normally has two versions. One is XML by using SOAP, the Simple Object Access Protocol. The other one is JSON, and it is usually used in representative state transfer architecture style development. As you can see in this figure, clients will require something from server by sending a JSON file. The server then responds with another JSON file based on the information received. Once the response received, the browser will display correct information and the rendering UIs for the user. This is the NPM trend. NPM is the package manager for the Node JavaScript platform. It puts modules in place so that nodes can fund them and manages dependencies, conflicts intelligently. Most commonly, it is used to publish, discover, install, and develop Node programs. When we develop a React project, we will use NPM as well. And Angular, React, and Vue are three most popular front-end library or frameworks. You can tell from this figure. React is getting popular in past 5 years. And increasingly more people are using and practicing React. This is the percentage calculated out of searches for all these three front-end frameworks. In Canada, more than half searches are about React. This figure is a survey from Stack Overflow in 2021. React.js surpasses jQuery as the most commonly used web framework. However, React is simply a library of framework for front-end UI parts. It has nothing to do with backend and routing. To develop a React project, we need other tools to develop it. There are three tools needed. React Redux is designed to work with React components model. React Redux will hold global variables or application scope variables. And the React components can get the value of these variables and updates automatically as needed. React Redux provides APIs that enable React components to interact with the Redux store by user-defined reducer and dispatcher. So developers do not have to write the logic themselves. React Redux also automatically implements complex performance optimization so that components only render when the data is needed to actually change it. Router. As mentioned previously, front-end SPA is responsible for routing and navigation between pages, while backend is responsible for data transmission, as you can see in the Airbnb website. Thus, a routing tool is needed for implementing this navigation for the users. React Router is a standard library for routing in React. It enables the navigation among views of various components in a React application. You might have already noticed that it might take a lot of time for a user to request SPA initially because rendering is all in client side. To improve user experience, server-side rendering technique is used. In the context of single-page application, server-side rendering refers to dynamic generation of the HTML files that is sent from web server to browser. And the Next.js is a tool to simplify the developer experience of server-side rendering. And all these three tools, Next.js, React, and routers, we will get them from NPM, the package manager for Node.js JavaScript platform. We will use them when we are developing a React project. That's all we need to know about the basic concept of a React project and what React is and what techniques we'll use in the React. That's only for the introduction. Thank you.